this is Kaushik Ranchod from the Ranchod Law Group. Welcome to another episode of Ranchod Law TV. Today, we are talking about I601A Waiver success stories. So you'll want to stay tuned to learn about how we got 2 cases approved, what we did to demonstrate extreme hardship. Now, before we dive into that, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about the fundamentals. So you understand, first of all, what you need to do to qualify, and you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe so you can continue to stay informed. And you can also click on the notifications button to make sure you get updates when we share a video. Let's talk about what you need to do to demonstrate whether or not you qualify for an extreme hardship I601A waiver. In this situation, to qualify, you need to have a U.S. citizen or permanent resident spouse, or U.S. citizen or permanent resident parent. Now, the I601A is designed primarily for people who entered without a visa and then married a U.S. citizen or permanent resident spouse, or as a U.S. citizen or permanent resident parent. If you entered without inspection, then you would accrue unlawful presence and be subject to a 10-year bar. You're accruing unlawful presence, and you would be subject to a 10-year bar if you left the United States. So what this does is this overcomes the unlawful presence by filing the I601A waiver. All right, now that we've talked about, let's talk about, well, what are the steps involved? What's the process if you are filing that I601A waiver? So the first step is filing an I-130 family-based petition with USCIS. After this is approved, and right now it's taking over 6 months to get these approved. These government processing times are always changing, but it is taking a long time right now to get these approved, especially with, as the time I'm recording this video, with COVID. That is what is happening. Well, once that's approved, then you can go and you can pay the filing fees with NVC. After the filing fees with NVC are paid, then this is the meat of the case. The most important, in my opinion, part of the case is the I601A waiver. So this is where you put a lot of effort into demonstrating the extreme hardship requirements, making a legal and factual argument, demonstrating why your U.S. citizen relative would be affected, your spouse or parent, if they had to go back to your home country or if you were separated. So after that I601A is approved, then what happens? Well, the next step is NVC processing, completing the DS-260, completing affidavit of support, and providing other documentation to the NVC, and then you would finally be scheduled for an interview at the U.S. Embassy, and then have the U.S. Embassy interview. So that is the process. Now, let's look at a couple of cases of how we demonstrated extreme hardship. The first case here is where we had a client who's from Mexico. He's 15 years old and he's married. They have 3 kids. So you saw here, first of all, they meet the basic requirements because they're married to a U.S. citizen spouse. Then they also have 3 children. That helps the case, but the kids are not in and of itself a qualifying relative, but it always helps to also demonstrate hardship to the kids, because of course that affects the U.S. citizen or permanent resident parent as well. In this situation, one of the main factors of hardship that we argued was medical hardship, because the U.S. citizen spouse was previously hospitalized. Also, one of the children had a medical issue that needed to continue to be monitored. So this is extremely important, because a lot of times USCIS will want to know, well, so what? You had a medical issue. Why does that matter? Well, showing that you need a continuation of care that can not be offered at the same level, level of quality as in the United States, or may not be able to be offered at all in your home country. Well, this is important for you to bring up and demonstrate the discrepancy. And in this case, we also demonstrated financial hardship. So how did we do that? Well, in this case, both parents were working, so both of them needed to work to provide the income. Now, not only that, but the beneficiary was also taking care of the kids. So if she had to go back to Mexico, she wouldn't be able to take care of the kids, which would adversely affect the household. So here you'll see we have financial hardship and medical hardship, and we try to bring in as many factors of hardship as possible, because what that does is we build upon every small instance of hardship to demonstrate that when you add it all together, there's a cumulative effect, and it demonstrates extreme hardship, as in this case. All right, example number 2. Now, in this case, the beneficiary, the applicant, entered when they were 2 years old. And they didn't know that they had entered without inspection. He didn't even know this until he was in high school. And unfortunately, this is much more common than you think. Especially, think about it, if you're 2 years old, you're not gonna remember what had happened. So imagine it must be quite shocking to find this information out. So when he was in high school, when he found this out, he was also, he also met his US citizen spouse, and they had a child and got married. In this case, we were able to demonstrate extreme hardship if the US citizen spouse had to go back to their home country, or if the US citizen spouse was separated from the beneficiary. What's really important to note is a lot of times people think, oh, well, I don't have some glaring hardship. And we want to look at all of the factors in your life, all the factors which build your case, to see what forms of hardship that you have, and then explain that to USCIS to demonstrate extreme hardship. So I hope these videos served you. Thank you so much for tuning into our video. We will see you next week, and make sure you hit subscribe, smash the like button. I want to thank you for being amazing, for tuning in, because by watching this video, you're betting yourself and your family, and that takes a lot of courage. Thank you. Bye for now.